All right, guys, let's get this thing going here. Both these phones are really solid. Let me change this wallpaper here to a more vibrant wallpaper. I've been testing out the black theme on there just to kind of see if it does anything for battery. That's all I've been doing. But this is how the phone comes to you right here with that blue wallpaper there. It's actually a pretty decent wallpaper. It's pretty nice. Let me turn on Do Not Disturb over here. Let's get a lot of messages coming in. So first thing I want to start with, comparing these two phones here, is kind of amazing that this phone has a 5.8-inch display and this has a 5.2, and you can see it's smaller. But just looking at these phones right here, they're both beautiful. I actually like the look of the Moto G5 Plus. I've said it on plenty of videos. I think it's a pretty sweet looking phone, man. I mean, I don't have any complaints about the way it looks. It's pretty solid. So let's start with build quality and design. So this part is definitely just my opinion, and it's completely subjective because some of you might like the G5 Plus better, or you might like the S8 better. But the fact of the matter is, this is just my point of view. So build quality and design, I'll start with the Challenger here, which is the S8, only because the G5 Plus came out first. So you're faced with this just sleek, just ridiculous piece of hardware. It's a piece of slippery hardware, a slice of slippery Samsung. However, this phone right here is definitely a phone that it's probably got to be one of the top. It's in the top 5 for beautiful piece of hardware, no doubt. There's absolutely no doubting this phone is in the top 5, probably the top 3 for beautiful hardware, and that's amongst other Samsung phones. So I'm not saying that this is at a lower stage or anything like that of build quality, but this phone is pretty much competing with other Samsung phones when it comes to build quality, because this phone is just beautiful. There are a lot of beautiful phones out there, but this is just a great looking phone. You see this phone, you look at it and say, whoa, that's beautiful. So hardware wise, you've got a iris scanner up front. It's waterproof. You've got a fingerprint reader on the back here, heart rate monitor, that 12 megapixel camera on the back with dual pixel technology. Then you've got an 8 megapixel on the front. You've got a bottom firing speaker there with USB Type-C and a USB Type-C and a USB charging and microphone and headphone on the bottom there. On this side, you've got a power button nicely placed. You've got that hideous, I shouldn't say hideous, inconveniencing Bixby button there, and a volume rocker there. And then you've got your SIM tray and a microphone up top. Then you've got all the things on the back here. No carrier branding anywhere. And on the front, you obviously have this beautiful Quad HD 5.8-inch display with on-screen buttons, which I can now change to my liking. On the Moto G5 Plus, let me wipe it off a little bit. This tempered glass it's okay. But you've got this 5.2-inch display, really good display, 1080p. You've got a 5 megapixel on the front, and then you have that 12 megapixel on the back with dual tone LED flash, microphone, Motorola branding there. This back plate is metal, but the sides are plastic. Headphone jack, USB 2 and microphone there. SIM tray, and it doubles as SD card. Now both of these have an SD card, but you've got that very fast fingerprint reader on the front there. So build quality wise, Samsung Galaxy S8, hands down. It's definitely got the better build quality for sure. I can't sit on video and say, I like the Moto G5 Plus and it feels better in the hand, but they're both slippery. But the S8 is definitely more slippery. So. But definitely just build quality alone, that's kind of, as you can see, I do have my setting at Quad HD. But just build quality alone, just aesthetically, just the way it looks, period. It's just a sexy, sleek device. No getting around it. Now, talking directly about the screens here, this is a Quad HD display, and there's just no getting around it. When I change it back to that black wallpaper, this seems borderless. This is why I wanted to do the black wallpaper. Let me see if I can find my black wallpaper. I'm gonna have to go into my gallery to find it here. But the borderless look like this. Oh my gosh, I really love it. That's why I changed it to the black. It also saves battery life too, because this is a Super AMOLED display. It's going to save you some battery life. So I have this black wallpaper, and it just looks borderless. The screen on here is absolutely gorgeous. There's just no getting around it. It's a fantastic looking phone, and you can put themes on here too, so that makes the screen look a little different too. But overall, though, the screen on the G5 Plus is good. It's good. It's not a bad display, but you know, when you put it next to a phone like this, you're definitely getting a much better display. There is absolutely no denying that at all. The Samsung makes some of the best displays ever to be produced by any company. Their phone screens are just gorgeous, and there is no getting around that. That's subjective. That's subjective too, but I think that they have the best. So speaker quality here is something, I'm going to actually test the speaker quality. It probably can't come, it's no need to test the speaker quality. This has a front-facing speaker, and the reason it may sound a little bit louder is because it's coming from the front. Other than that, this is actually Samsung has done some great improvements on the S8. This is actually a pretty loud speaker for it to be a waterproof phone. Because the S7's speaker is not the loudest for sure, but you know, the S8 speaker, it's definitely good, man. It's definitely good to be allowed to be a bottom firing speaker and have a waterproof phone, so that's a plus. However, the Moto G5 Plus, the speaker is facing you, so it just appears to be a lot louder. And you know, I'm going to kind of give that nudge to the Moto G5 Plus because it does have a front-facing speaker, and you know, that's just what it is. Now, feature-rich, I can just go ahead and put the G5 down because it doesn't have very many features outside of Android 7.0 features. But this phone, you can unlock it with your face, you can unlock it with your eyes, your fingerprint, a pin. You know, you've got all the features that Samsung offers, and then you've got all the features of 7.0. So, you know, while it's not, and you've got this while I'm not a fan of Bixby, it is there. You've got a heart rate monitor. You know, it's just a lot going on with this phone. It's definitely more feature rich than the Moto G5 Plus for sure. There is absolutely no getting around that. So, definitely a much better, more options on the S8 for sure. Camera quality, you know, let's take a look at the cameras. Here's a 4K sample from the Samsung Galaxy S8. You've seen this before. I'm actually matching it against a different phone today. It's going to be the Moto G5 Plus. Moto G5 Plus is a phone that you've heard a lot of us talk about, and you've seen a lot of people talk about it online, that it's a great phone. But how does it match up against a phone that's twice, double the price and then some, and then with a few more features? So start with the camera here. I'm going to walk down the stairs here. Let's pan around here. There's my favorite tree. All right, no editing, like I said before in the other video, no external mic or nothing. Whatever you hear is what's coming from the phone. Now here's a 4K sample from the Moto G5 Plus. This phone is actually probably one of the most bang for buck type of devices you could possibly get. You're pretty much getting the same camera on the S8 Plus, pretty much. Different software tweaks on the S8 Plus, I'm told, but there's no denying that this phone right here is actually really solid. All right, so there you are. Camera quality, you can decide which one you think is better. I'll leave that up to you. Software is where I feel like is completely subjective because I prefer stock Android, and I'm running Nova Launcher on here, and I actually also run Nova Launcher on here. I just recently changed it back for the purposes of this video. But let me change this back too, because I kind of forgot to do this one. Oops. Let's go into apps and default. There you go. So this is what this phone looks like out of the box, and it's stock Android pretty much. I can tell you that while talking about software, I want to talk about performance, and this phone definitely performs smooth. It does everything the S8 does, and it does it at a smoother rate. There are some, like, let me go into settings here, and I'll show you what I mean. Like when I go to apps, and I'm going to try to scroll, and look what happens. See, certain things the phone will bog down. Now, let's try the same thing on here. And see what I mean? So and that's just in that one area. This phone kind of stopped lagging on me after using it for a while, but I do go into the app section a lot, and you know, the S8 lags in that area for whatever reason. That just stops software optimization. But as far as performance and smoothness go, this overall is a much smoother phone. There's no denying that. And I just blame that on TouchWiz, or oops, Samsung Experience. I mean Grace UI. I blame it on one of those. I blame it on one of those. Now let's talk about battery. The reason that even if I turn this phone all the way down to 720p, it still doesn't have as good a battery as this phone right here. And that's because of what's inside. This phone has a Snapdragon 835 inside, and this has a 625 inside. So the 625, you guys have heard me talk about it so much. I mean, so much. It is probably one of the most efficient processors for battery life that I have ever used. Easily can pull down 8 hours on this phone with ease. Even at the 1080p setting on here, I can barely get 6. I might be able to get 6. This is just a very efficient. And everyone said, "Oh, the 835 is going to be the most efficient." Nobody knows. They're just reading that on paper. That's all you guys. Some of you guys read it on paper and just agreed with what everybody said. This does not have the most efficient battery. This isn't the most efficient processor for the best battery. And if this was actually officially a 1080p display, maybe I'll be able to say differently. But it is a Quad HD display, just being dumbed down to 1080p, so maybe that has some effect on it. But when I put it to 1080p, I did a test, and I still was only able to get 6. I think I topped out at like 6 hours and 22 minutes or something like that. I don't know. But this phone definitely pulled down more than 8. I think 9 I've pulled before on this phone, and that's not in the same day. That's like over almost a day and a half, I think. So battery definitely goes to the Moto G5 Plus for sure. It's got a smaller screen, it's pushing less, it's a great phone. So this phone costs $750, and this one tops out at $750, this particular model, and this phone tops out at $299. Which one would I recommend? Definitely would recommend both of them, but if a person is wanting some great cameras on their phones and you want good battery life, I definitely recommend the Moto G5 Plus. If you want the latest technology and you just like a beautiful, stunning device with a little bit more features, well, actually a lot more features, with just a fantastic display, you could grab the S8, or you can grab several other phones, because the S8 isn't the only phone with a great display packed with features. But this is what you get. This is, in my perspective, this is what you get. You get $300 versus $750. And this has you can get this with 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs onboard storage too, just like this one. So 4 gigs of RAM and 64, 4 gigs of RAM and 64. You also have an option to get this in 2 gigs and 32 to save money. This actually goes down to $229. So there's 2 options of this. So there you have it. Quick little hands-on for both phones there. The Moto G5 Plus versus the Samsung Galaxy S8. What did you guys think about the camera tests? Be honest in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.